Carl, I honestly don't even know where to begin. It just continues to get worse. Your thoughts after the latest debacle in Los Angeles?
Well, I don't think much has changed. Last week I said that it was broken and it's the same crap, different location. And it's there. There are just so many things that make you kind of scratch your head in terms of how they are approaching things. Um, you have an offensive coordinator, and look, the Chargers are 31st in the league against defending the run. They didn't get there in 1 week. That's the culmination of about 12 weeks, 13 weeks. They earned the right to be 31st in the league against the run. The Giants ran the ball against them 9 times in the first half.
Unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
That's just it's mind-boggling. And I'm not sure what the mindset is of the offensive coordinator. And listen, people say, well, they got rid of Jason Garrett. Well, a lot of the Giants' offensive problems predates Freddie Kitchens' 2-week stint at offensive coordinator. This stuff started back last year with some of their offensive woes. But just the fact that there's information out there available that says, hey, you can run the ball on this team and you can get your offense on track. Now, Giants came out, first drive, moving the ball, drop pass, right? And I talked last week about how players have to value every possession because if they don't execute, then they won't have another opportunity. So they had 2 punts in 2 drives after having, on first down, a 7 or 8 yard run. And then all of a sudden, you pass the ball one to the tight end who's in the flat wide open, drops it. The other one is to Darius Slayton, hits him right in the stomach. He drops it. And, there's got to be something going on with Darius Slayton. He has not been the same receiver since the drop in Washington earlier in the year. He just hasn't. I mean, he has regressed to something that he didn't even walk into the Giants building with as a rookie. Right. He's unrecognizable as a guy with speed, had good hands, could get better, but he's gone in. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's not even the guy that walked in the building as a rookie right now. He's just ever since that Washington game, just something seems off with him. And when they need you to come through, and they keep going to him, and he keeps dropping them. And that hurts their team. That hurts their progress. But still a lot to do with this operation. It's just stuff. It's just one thing after the next.
Do you have faith that ownership will do what is necessary to get this thing headed back in the right direction?
I do. I think they care deeply about it. And here's the thing. I hear fans say, the owner has to sell the team. There's no owner's going to sell their team. Right. Owners, and this is the one thing about the Mara and Tisch families as ownership. They provide you with the resources. It's no different when people were screaming as recent as 3 years ago that James Dolan should get the hell out of the Garden. And I've always defended James Dolan in regards to he's always given his teams whatever resources they ask for, he give it to them. They just had a lot of guys that stopped in for money grabs, but nobody will ever complain that James Dolan did not give whoever was in charge of the Knicks whatever resources they needed to run a team. And I think you look at the Giants' ownership; they want to win badly. They don't like ineptitude. So I think they'll do what they think is necessary. I think they will get sound advice. I don't know if it's coming from, consultants or whatever, but I think they're going to seek some advice to see how they could get it on track.
Right. We know they need to make changes, but I guess when I say, will they do the right thing? We've had many callers call up and complain about, the family members running things. I know they're the owners and they give the resources and that's great. But if they have family members in high positions of football operations, is that a problem that maybe somebody coming in from the outside can say, hey, look, you got this guy running that I know is your son or whatever, your brother, whatever it may be. He's got to go.
So, a lot of what people are saying, if they only knew what certain people's roles were, they probably would say, why isn't he more involved in X, Y, and Z? I won't go that far into it, but like some of the assessments that I'm reading of which family member should go because he's in charge of this, that, and the other, that dynamic is not quite what people think it is.
Okay.
I mean, just put it that way.
So that's a good thing though, right? I'm assuming
No, I'm not saying anything. Okay. I'm not going to go there. Fans they can form their own opinions about the family members in personnel positions. But let me just say this. No, I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, come on, Carl. We had you. I'm hanging on the edge here. We need to go.
No. I'm going to say this. Whatever you guys think of Chris Mara, you are so far off, you can't imagine.
Okay. Well, we trust.
Okay. And listen, but you don't have to trust me because I'm sure they'll be adding me in the next 30 seconds saying that I'm a shill for the team, right? But I'm going to tell you now, Chris Mara is pretty damn smart, and he knows a lot more football than some folks will ever acquire if they watched a lifetime of football. But because no one knows, they just speak on who has what roles
right. You see it's Mara,
in what capacity.
You see it's family member.
And then you say, just people just going off. Well, maybe, you may not know as much as you think you know, and that's all I can say about that. Other than the fact that he's pretty good. He's good enough that he's been offered jobs outside the organization.
Good enough for me, so I do trust you. I don't care what anybody on Twitter says, and I think the majority of, and matter of fact, somebody who was calling before saying that, I think it was Dennis and Yonkers that said the Giants should go to you for advice on this. Have they reached out to you at all to ask?
No, hey, they can get better advice than what I'm
You've been around this team a long time, a Giant great. You've watched this team.
I understand football. I know football. If they ever were to reach out to me and ask me what I thought of something, I would give an honest assessment, and they would know that it's coming from a good place and not any type of self-promotion. But I continue to root for the team. I want the best for Giants fans and for the players on the roster. But, it's a little different. It's different than when I played. I would be considered a very bad teammate if I were on today's roster because it would just be I would be holding a lot of guys accountable and not settling for the attaboys, we'll get them next time. You've got to raise the stakes when you're trying to get things turned around, and sometimes it takes a player or a leader in the locker room to kind of get that done as well. But that's this season is what it is. Let's just hope that they can get a few more things moving in the right direction. Andrew Thomas has turned out to be a pretty good player for them. Let's see if Kadarius Toney can put 4 games together and give us something to look forward to next year, instead of the ups and downs of not being available.
What about Daniel Jones? How would you handle him here? Assuming that, look, if it's a bad injury and he can't play, he can't play. But let's say that maybe he could play. They're going to wait to get it cleared. Would you just say shut it down at this point? Don't risk it? Or if he's healthy, let Daniel Jones play?
If he's healthy, let him play. It's just as simple as that. I think where we are now, Sal, in the NFL, and I was just talking to a good friend of mine, JoJo Wooden, who runs personnel for the Chargers. It's hard to justify how you pay or even evaluate core players on your roster because they miss blocks of time. It's like there was a time where there was a phrase called injury prone, but you knew going in that guy wasn't going to be somebody that you can count on. So you just hope you can get out of him what you can. And he was more of a role player, right? But now you look across the league, key players on every roster are missing blocks of 4-6 games. Like you're only counting on guys to play 75% of the plays. And then those 75, you hope that they're 100% healthy. So when you got guys that are healthy enough to play, you got to get them out there. That's the only way you can evaluate whether or not you want to move forward with them beyond their contract. Like, I don't think you're going to move beyond Daniel Jones this year because he still has another year. You're not on the hook for anything. He's under contract, and it buys you more time in a year that there aren't any great prospects coming out. But you still want to get him going. You want to get him and Tony and the rest of this group going. Another bright spot yesterday was Saquon Barkley. Didn't want to come out the game. He wanted to keep running the football. So you just want to keep building towards something. You just don't want to see, kind of the white flag waved in a bad season. You got to be playing for something even in a bad season.
Do you think Joe Judge is the right guy?
I still do. I think he's got to make a lot of changes, though. A lot of changes. See, and I don't know if this is a mistake he's making, but what you see from a lot of coaches that coached under Belichick is kind of the coaching methods, the overall mindset of a Belichick, but not the connection with, Bill Belichick's only thing he wanted to do is put guys in position to have success. So if someone said to Bill Belichick, hey, we're going to have to run the ball 50 times to win this game against Buffalo, he would go tell Josh McDaniels, we're going to run this 50 times. I don't care if we pass it once, but we're going to prepare to run. He's not worried about being sexy. He's not worried about his coordinators, about campaigning for their next job by their play calling or their diversity of play calling. Winning is sexy. All of the other stuff, putting your guys in the best position to win, demanding that they are accountable, that they value every possession. That's what Belichick is. That's what Joe Judge has to do. And he has to put people on his staff that demand the same things. Like, it's in my opinion, no reason why Darius Slayton has basically digressed into the unreliable category. He's too talented. He's a guy, like I said, I don't even recognize that guy if he was a rookie walking through the door. He was much better. So, you got to figure out how to get those type of guys back into your program and into football, because it just doesn't seem like something's right. It just something off with a guy who could be part of your core on your team.
One on specific, and then we'll let you go, Carl. We do appreciate the time. The end of the halves have just been a disaster for this team. It's been going on since early in the year, obviously. What is the reason for that? Is that coaching? I mean, we just talked about Joe Judge. Is that coaching?
It's two things. Well, you got on the offensive side of the ball, they can't do anything. And on the defensive side of the ball, they can't stop anybody. So yeah, it's coaching. It's beyond head coaching. No, it's strategy. It's game plan. It is what your coordinators and your personnel can do. I mean, look, held the ball for all of 50 seconds and gave it back to the Chargers, and they split them right down the seam for a big one.
I just can't happen. And it continues to happen week in and week out. I mean, even if they coached it differently just to chew the clock.
Right. Those are the things that have to change. So, again, if you got a team that's 31st in the league stopping the run, and you've only run it 9 times in the first half, there's something wrong with the way you're doing things. You're trying to be sexy in your play calling when all you need to do is just call winning plays. You know, they were getting good yardage running the football, and they just decided to do different things.
Yeah, and unfortunately.
And by the way, Kyle Rudolph, they finally welcomed him into the organization, with 4 weeks left.
It was nice to see him.
You saw what he could do.
Yeah, all right, exactly. A guy who was a weapon when he was with the Vikings. He's been MIA here with the Giants finally getting him involved. The one thing that remains constant, unfortunately, Carl, is the losses. They keep on piling up here. So thankfully, only 4 more weeks to go. What we're going to learn in those 4 weeks, who knows? But clearly the bigger issue is going to be in the offseason. Thanks, Carl.
Thank you, Sal.
Appreciate it. Carl Banks and his report.